Challenges! Ha! Who needs them? Where's the fun in overcoming difficult challenges, solving conundrums, and outlasting strife through great patience? Better word for it would be pig-headedness. It's time to turn over a new leaf. There is no need to face down challenges without dying, with only my sword, with only my bow, with only leaping, or some other crazed modifier that's bound to bring me to a new circle of hell. No, no, it is time for this rat to begin my career as an anti-challenge gamer, beating games in the easiest way possible. Sure, I'll still go in on lethal difficulty, lethal plus in fact, since we're gonna be doing a new game plus. And sure, I'll take away my ability to block, parry, and every single form of attack. All except for Heavenly Strike. But that's all I'll need, as Heavenly Strike is about to prove itself as the best attack in Jin's arsenal. Don't take my word for it, I'll show you right now in a flash of the blade. First things first, I'm not overdressed, right? Not only is my armor about being stylish, it's also about seeking to maximize how much resolve I can get out of every single move. Resolve, these wondrous little yellow orbs that represent Jin's awesomeness, are required to use Heavenly Strike. One use of the strike costs 1 orb, which is the same cost to heal, and 3 would be required if I have the unfortunate need to get back up after being downed. But that rarely happens with how powerful Heavenly Strike is. Being this is lethal plus, even the most common form of enemy takes 2 strikes to go down, and with my limited supply of resolve, that could be a real problem. Except, I have a set of charms to make sure my supply never runs out. 2 of the charms, when combined, give me a 30% chance of gaining back 1 resolve whenever I use resolve. And combine that with 2 more charms that double that ability, I now have a 60% chance of getting back resolve on every single use of Heavenly Strike. Now, 60% ain't perfect, I know it, but that's why another charm will recharge my resolve to 2 uses anytime I get low. And if I really want to speed that up, I throw myself off the nearest high ledge to quickly gain more resolve back. Basically, running out of resolve just can't happen for me, much to the terror of these first Mongols that I come across. In fact, terror is quite common, as Heavenly Strike not only kills with ease, but it also has a strong chance of terrifying nearby foes into fleeing every time I kill someone. Which is the smartest decision possible when a man with a large monkey statue on his head comes sprinting out of the shadows and then slices your pal into bits before you can even blink. At that point, trying to fight is basically asking for a quick free trip 6 feet straight down. Even little Jin was obsessed with Heavenly Strike, but back then, only his uncle had to put up with being on the receiving end. After helping Yuna free a random Straw Hat mercenary in my second fight so far, I realize it's a mistake to always keep the charm on that allows me to gain resolve from rolling out of high falls, when I instead can keep Inari's Might on and do more damage, and then just switch those charms in and out if I'm low on resolve. Actually, while I'm at it, I realize I'm also being quite dumb about my armor selection. Sure, the monkey helm rocks, we can all agree on that, but choosing it for the massive resolve gains makes no sense since Heavenly Strike can't give resolve outside of the refund charm, so I'm actually getting nothing from this armor except for the style. Let's don some godly family armor instead so I can output even higher levels of damage. The sooner Heavenly Strike sends my enemies off to heaven, the less resolve I have to use after all, right? It gives me more time to do other hobbies, like Heavenly Strike my way across the road in order to sneak up on these archers. You could say, that's not the stealthiest way to approach, but somehow they still didn't see me until I was almost right on top of them, so perhaps, just perhaps, it's truly the stealthiest move of all. Especially since they're too dead to tell anyone about it. One thing about regaining resolve from rolling out of high drops, make sure you can tell which jumps you can roll out of, and what you'll shatter every bone in your body attempting. I haven't quite mastered the skill of telling which is which, much to Jin's agony. I suppose though, it does create a nice change of pace of slaughtering the Mongols back to back with ease. After helping fend off waves of Mongols with the sensei, I clear out a captured dojo and take part in the first 1v1 duel of the game. It's well, some may call it extremely one-sided, and though some would be correct. I'm not too surprised to find that it's far less one-sided when I take on a group of archers harassing travelers trying to cross this bridge. Heavenly Strike is a wonderful move that cuts down any archer in a single deadly swipe. But it does require reaching them before they can shoot me. Something that's usually simple as long as I keep rolling, but if I try to slay them before they can let an arrow off, I'll discover I'm not as fast as lightning as the legends foretold, especially when I have to swim to reach them. I'm just happy healing has as much of a chance to refund resolve as killing does. Coming across a storyteller, he tells me the legend of the Heavenly Strike, a move so powerful that its creator used it to kill lightning wolves and then lived a life of seclusion where he rarely taught anyone the move. This Heavenly Strike move sure sounds useful, don't you think? I should investigate further. The Mongols, also seeking to learn the Heavenly Strike, stand no chance against me, and quite quickly, I'm facing off against the only man who knows how to use the move. Using Heavenly Strike, I easily tear through the murderer's health in my quest to learn how to use Heavenly Strike, only taking a pause when my resolve runs out, and I have to sprint around the arena while I wait for it to refill. Once I have it back, the world teaches us a valuable lesson: why having a sword fight in an area known for lightning strikes during a lightning storm is not a wise move. But now, I know Heavenly Strike, so I'm sure this was a worthwhile detour and risk. Helping Masako, and then a random warrior woman, fight off groups of enemies, it takes more time to think about how to describe the fights than it takes to finish the fights. Friends, I think I might be too powerful. I attack Mongol camp after Mongol camp, and none can give even a semblance of a defense against me. None are ready for how well I can press circle and triangle simultaneously. I only come close to death once with a poorly timed roll. Why is it whenever I suffer, it's always to the most basic shieldman, spearman combo? It's the most unexpected Mongol MVPs. But they can't stop me, and every single Mongol camp in the first territory is wiped out in no time, just because I felt like it. Finally, my first true, non-falling death comes from me as I run out of resolve at the worst time, right when a hostage needs rescue. Seeing no other recourse, I put myself in between the hostage and the attackers. And, well, it's pretty obvious how that goes. Just as I gained enough resolve in order to rub salt in the wound, I guess. Coming back to life, I am not letting that happen again, and as the peasants gaze on in confusion, I throw myself off a nearby building repeatedly till I have full resolve, ensuring I can easily slay every Mongol before they can threaten anyone else. 2/3 of this anti-challenge is slaughtering my enemies with so much ease. The other 1/3 is jumping off high up places and hoping I can survive. A hope that often doesn't work out. And then it's back to slaughtering the invaders. The more, the merrier. Which brings me to my duel against Straw Hat Mercenary Numero Uno, Ryuzo, the traitor. Sure, that one random Mongol warlord I killed earlier was super easy, but can someone as skilled as my old friend go down as easily? Yes, absolutely, 100%, not even a little in doubt. And the same fate befalls every Mongol in between me and my uncle, and same for every Mongol after saving him as well. For every enemy that has ever given me trouble or caused me pain in the past, this is very therapeutic. Maybe not the most exciting way to play for someone so used to challenge, but boy does it have a stress-relieving way about it as I relieve my enemies of their life burdens. As per usual, I'm stuck using the arrow artillery, but in a way, this thing deserves the name Heavenly Strike more than the blade does, given its certain death from above. After flying through saving Yarikawa at personal record speed, I head back to my home in order to retrieve the armor I have been wearing this entire time. Though, admittedly, my version is a bit more stylized. Still, it feels like Jin could have skipped the trip home, but then he would have missed out on these traumatic flashbacks, and we can't have that. With the old trauma revisited, it's time to go gain some new ones by visiting the Straw Hat camp in order to hunt Ryuzo again. Taka tries to distract the sizable garrison so I can sneak in, but who needs to sneak when empowered by this much resolve? It really doesn't matter how many people they throw at me, this move trivializes any resistance. Unless, of course, you hit my armored head with a wooden stick when I'm not looking, then I have no recourse for that. Once freed, I can enact much longed-for revenge on the Straw Hats, and I really don't know why, shortly after, when facing off with Ryuzo again, he claims he's all alone and all his men are dead. Like half the Straw Hats fled in fear and are still alive. probably accompanied by half the Mongol invasion force, all of them hiding in some cave somewhere or under a rock after fleeing from me. Which, as Ryuzo finds out for the second time, is still a better fate than trying to duel me. Of course, my uncle recognizes I'm now far too powerful to be allowed free and turns on me, trying to chain me down, which forces me to flee so I can unleash my power on the Mongols in the north. I just gotta make sure I don't run directly into a fiery tree with instant death capabilities so I can live that long. They really don't warn you about those kinds of things in school. They do warn you about how fighting in a small space while being shot at and sliced at and still trying to attack is very fatal, but I apparently didn't listen well enough to that lesson. I think I've more than covered how powerful Heavenly Strike is by now, so there's no surprise when I slice through more Mongol camps and leaders in no time, as I seek more steel to improve my blade to its final form, because heck, nothing like becoming even more unstoppable than I already am. This brings me up against the Khan in no time, and well, I think we've also well established. Sword, shield, or polearm, there's nothing that can be done to stop Heavenly Strike's fatal strikes. But there is such a thing as too much arrogance, and in my rush to ignore every enemy but the Khan in a final ship-wide battle, I fall several times as I leave myself far too open to being interrupted. It also hurts that upon rezzing I have far less resolve than when I first started, but thankfully the elevated platform of this ship is just high enough to roll back some resolve, and then, when that burns down in the battle, most of the Mongols are dead, and I can just recover my resolve slowly and surely. Which, of course, the Khan refuses to go down unless I use 4 regular strikes as always in order to shatter his weapons and then his body. And while the game does force me into Ronin attire to fight my uncle in one last duel, I'm still free to use the same vital charms, which means my uncle fares about as well as the others that dared challenge me in this anti-challenge. Huzzah! Well, that was easy. Much too easy, in fact. I still died 13 times with exactly 10 hours of playing, nearly all to falling, and the others being highly preventable. So if you want the easiest no-death run, this strategy would do it for you. Sure, Heavenly Strike can't be used for everything, but in every moment that it's possible, it is unstoppable with the right build. But you know, maybe this whole anti-challenge gaming just isn't for me. I'm accustomed to the struggle too much. And you can't grow if you don't struggle, right? We gotta keep reaching for the next step upwards after all. I thank you all for watching. Happy April Fools! I'm off now to go mess with the Batman, and hope I don't lose all my teeth in the attempt. I'll see you later, friends.